Peace and blessings. Welcome to the Voice of Reason show. I'm your host and one of the producers, Skilo Slim. I want to welcome y'all to this experience that we're going to go through together. Here at the Voice of Reason, we believe in always being honest, always keeping it real, giving it to you straight from our perspective. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to have guests. We'll have our commentary. You might laugh, you might cry, you might hate us, but that's welcome. So bring your feedback to us. We got thevoiceofreason.com. You can voice your opinion. We're going to be on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, YY, all of that. So you come, sound off. Let us know what you think. Let us know what's important to you. We're going to tell you what we think is important, and we're going to all meet somewhere in the middle. We're going to grow from that perspective. That's what we're here to do. So again, peace to my universal family, and hey, enjoy. Peace. Welcome to the Voices of Reason. I'm your host, Skilo Slim, and today I'm here with a very distinguished and a personal friend of mine, Mr. A.M.Brumfield. How you doing, sir?
Good.
Good to see you. It's a beautiful day. I brought you here today for the main reason because we always want to talk about things that impact our community, to the core of our community, things that's maybe stopping us from striving and being the best that we can be. Mm-hmm. And I understand you have several areas of, I would say, expertise in this. So something that's near and dear to me is the problem that we have of domestic violence. And I understand that that's something that you deal with as well?
Yeah, definitely. We, just with my background in law enforcement, I've seen domestic violence up close and personal, and because of that, we started the Men Against Domestic Violence Action Coalition.
Right.
And it's a group of men who are reaching out to the community, trying to reach young men and the workplace to put preventative measures in place to stop domestic violence before it happens, but also to educate young men and the workplace on what it looks like and some of the things they can do to get involved to stop it.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. That's an important thing. So as far as the workplace, you reach out, the workplace take the responsibility to see someone in danger, or? Yeah,
it's the most important part of the workplace is putting support systems in place for them, for victims of domestic violence. A lot of places they want to get involved in supporting employees who may be victims, but they don't know how. So we want to make sure that they have the materials, they have the training, they have the resources that they need to help those victims.
Right.
We work with the WCA. We're actually not a nonprofit ourselves. We're just a coalition of men volunteers. So we fall under the WCA umbrella, and they provide a lot of that material and resources.
Right. Because that's always a challenge for me. Like I've lived in apartments. So, you might hear something that you think is kind of funny or you don't really know. Mm-hmm. And it's always been a tough thing is how do I react? What's the limits? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, should I get involved? Should I say something? Should I try to protect them? So what would be some ways that you think?
The answer is yes. Especially in a situation like that where a lot of times they can hear, they're not sure what's going on. Just call the police, dial 911, let the police go and find out. If everything is all right, everything is all right. But if it's not, you've gotten some help to the victim.
Right.
We can't continue to look the other way because domestic violence right now is at epidemic levels. In the black community, black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to be murdered in domestic violence.
Wow.
So there's a serious issue in our community, and it's got various causes, but regardless of what the causes are, we have to put an end to it, and reporting suspected domestic violence is the start.
Right. I definitely agree with that, because it's like it's like generational. It's like you've seen this in your household, this is how problems are handled, and then you.
Definitely, that cycle of violence, and that's what we're trying to break, because a lot of young men grow up seeing this, and that's all they know.
Right.
There's groups that talk about toxic masculinity, reclaiming masculinity, And those things are important. Me personally, I don't think we have to redefine masculinity. I think we just need to start living by masculinity again.
Right.
But when young men aren't given any alternatives to how to handle stress, alternatives to violence, that's exactly what happens. They revert back to what they grew up watching, and the problem continues. So we have to break that cycle of violence, and there's some good groups out there that's trying to do that. Unfortunately, the vast majority of them are, I should say unfortunately, but I would like to see more men involved, because the vast majority are women-led, women-focused, victim-focused, where men need to get involved and be more
more responsible for
Yep, you get young boys, let them know as they're coming up. Don't try to unteach bad behavior. Let's get good behavior taught well before you even get to the point where you're starting to commit these offenses. So,
right.
It's really important that men get involved. It's a men's issue.
Definitely, definitely.
98%, if not more, of the offenders are male. I mean, so it's definitely a men's issue.
Definitely. Can we double back to what you said, toxic masculinity? What exactly, what's that? What's the definition
Well,
of that?
you know, right now we have a warped sense of masculinity, you know, particularly in our community.
Right.
We jump automatically to violence. Or I shouldn't say violence, I should say confrontation.
0 to 100.
0 to 100. And we need to kind of pull back on that and start looking at, okay, these are some steps that we can take. It's conflict resolution, conflict management. It's basically what we're looking at. But we have to break it down to a community level, an individual level, and give people alternatives to, you know, masculinity means tough right now. It means aggressive. It means all these things that can get people in trouble.
Yeah.
So we have to revisit that and let young men know that that's not masculinity. You know, sometimes the man in the situation walks away.
Right.
And we've kind of gotten away from teaching those lessons to our young men.
Exactly. Like leading more your life more so with reason.
Definitely.
And using logic to make your decisions instead of
Definitely.
purely emotional.
Definitely. Logic over emotion. And it's tough. It's, you know, it's not like you reach a point and you're, you know, I'm going to operate at that level forever. You constantly have to check yourself.
Definitely.
I mean, that's part of life. You hit challenges and you have to step back and say, okay, how can I handle this better? And that's what we need to start talking to our young men about.
Exactly.
You know, we do it with gang violence. We do it with, you know, a ton of criminal activity.
Yeah.
We're constantly telling them you have to start thinking this way.
Just say no.
Yeah, but we're not doing it when it comes to violence against women.
Why do you think that is?
You know, I think that it's a tough topic to talk about.
Yeah, it's very personal. Right?
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to get involved in other people's relationships. But when we don't, what happens is we end up, you know, watching the news or reading a paper about a woman being murdered, and then we're like, oh my God, that's just horrible. Well, you know, we can't sit back Monday morning and talk about how horrible that was. We have to get out in front of it.
Right.
To stop it before it happens. I think the biggest problem we have is we don't want to get involved in other people's business.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we don't have to get directly involved in other people's business, but what we can do is make sure she has some resources. And I say she because the vast majority of the time, female is the victim.
Right.
Make sure that she has resources. Make sure he has some resources. Let's learn the resources. The vast majority of them are free.
Right.
It's just a matter of going and getting or calling the WCA. they'll come out and provide training and materials.
That's what I was going to lead to my next question. Like,
Yeah.
what are some of those places that you could go?
The WCA is the group that we work very close with, and they're teaching us a lot. The men in the organization, we all came from different backgrounds. Of course, I saw it a little bit more than a lot because of my law enforcement background.
Right.
On the corporate side, I see it more because I do workplace violence training as a profession. But you have guys that are accountants, leadership coaches, just from all walks of life, and they've never dealt with it before. So we're learning quite a bit, and we're learning it through the WCA. There's a lot of organizations online. There's getting to be more and more information out there for men, but right now it is kind of it's tough to find. So
yeah, because I think mostly I always think of it as being a woman's issue, like a man's issue in the sense of maybe you losing control of yourself. Mm-hmm. But I don't really think about it in the sense of this man is in fear of his life from this woman. It's just not. Maybe that's like one of the stereotypes, but I just never.
Well, men are victims of domestic violence, definitely they are. But the vast majority of the victims are women. It's abusive men towards women. Right. And it's a problem in the LGBT community as well.
Really?
So we focus on the men simply because of that reason, because the vast majority of the time the men are the offenders. Right. And that's why we feel that it's very important to recognize it as a men's issue. And it's very important for men to be at the forefront of fighting it, of stopping it. We're losing a lot of women to domestic violence, and that affects children. It's not just him and her that's affected.
Yeah, exactly.
There are children that are watching this go on in their homes.
That's the worst part.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you, no matter how good a social program is, whether it's anti-gang, whether it's tutoring, drill team, regardless of what it is this child is doing to better themselves, how much of that is unraveled when they go home and have to watch mom being beaten? Definitely. How much of that is lost? How many, future doctors and lawyers, and we're always pushing our kids to do greater. How does a child concentrate on that greatness when they have to watch?
Yeah, it steals a child's innocence.
Yeah,
You're no longer
definitely,
a child. You have to protect. It's definitely.
Mm-hmm. And that abuse could go over directly to child abuse. A lot of people don't see abusing a mother as abusing a child, but how could it not be?
Right. Yeah.
That's child abuse. If a child is witnessing that, it's child abuse.
Yeah. Change your dynamic. It makes it okay, or it makes you very timid. Like, I definitely understand what you mean.
And it keeps that cycle going. Right. That young lady grows up believing that that's how she should be treated. It's okay that I'm choked because I grew up watching it. And so it's very important that we get in front of it and break that cycle.
Definitely. I'm definitely glad to see brothers put this in the forefront. I think it's an important issue as well. Too many times it seems in the community it's like our biggest problems are kind of just like curtailed. Like we don't really address them. Like everybody's afraid. But it's like that's the type, like you said, it directly affects our growth.
It does.
Some of our greatest minds are traumatized. And it's like, okay, you can go and be an astronaut, Johnny. Well, Johnny's worried about mom at home. And where they're going to, and I definitely understand that. Yeah. I definitely do.
And home is your springboard. That's the one place you're supposed to be safe. That's the one place that's supposed to be guaranteed peace. Right. And when you don't have that, you have a shaky, broken foundation. How do you go out and take on the world, when you're standing on shaky ground back at home? So, and if we can get more men to understand that home is peace. Society is what it is, especially for black men. Definitely. It's tough. The one place you should be able to go and recoup or
recharge your battery.
Exactly. The one place you should be able to go is home. And if you don't have that, peace at home, if you are the reason that there's not that peace at home, then you need to take a look in the mirror and make the decision to reach out for some help. I mean,
Definitely.
there's
I
people
agree.
out there that can help.
Right. That's one of the hardest parts, is to reach out for help.
Yeah.
So what's the name of your organization again? And how
It's
can people contact you?
Men Against Domestic Violence Action Coalition. We can be supported through the WCA. We can be reached through the WCA. We have a Facebook page, Twitter. We started on paper probably about 2 years ago. Went through some challenges, and then the WCA kind of took us under their wing,
Right.
and we brought some great people on board. We have Charlie Vendetti, who's a co-founder. We have Dave Weber, who's an executive coach, who put our strategy together. So I mean, we have some absolutely great people on board, and we're looking for more. So
That's great. I appreciate you coming through. If there's anything that we can do here to help, we always welcome on our platform.
hey, spread the word. Come and learn more. Be a speaker. Be a trainer. Get involved
Definitely.
with what you guys are doing. So
Right. That's what we're going to continue to do.
yeah.
Well, family, there you go. That's the truth of the matter. And I hope you join us again. Reach out. Let's keep this conversation going. You can reach us at thevoiceofreasonshow.com. Let us know what you think. Reach out to me if you see me. Let me know. Tell me what's real and what you didn't like. So, like I say, peace, family. Thanks.
How you doing? My name is Yard, and this segment is Mind and Power. Now, when you think mind and power, you think beliefs, dreams, and outcomes. Now, for most people in the world, it's always a mind thing. The first thing you always consider is failure. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing wrong with that is stops you from doing what you need to be doing. First, you control your mind, and then you get the power. Now, let's just say that you're trying to go for a certain job, may not be in your area, but you want to try it anyway. The first thing is impressive. Everybody knows that. But you still got to have the mind and the power to get up, go for what you know, and take that. But there's also failure. Failure, nobody likes it. But what people fail to learn is that you can learn from failure. Most people have failed just because of the thought of failure. That is not going to work. The only thing that's going to motivate you is to keep going, learning from what you mistake, and grow. Now, there's going to be more and more segments on this. I just gave you a little example on what I will bring to you. Now, my name is Yard. This is Mind and Power, and I hope you like my segments. I have a lot for you. Peace.
Peace. I'm Skilo Slim, your host for this segment, which is called Where is My Tax Money? Now, you know I'm official because I had to break out my notes. Because every time I see my check, so a bunch of it gone. And I said, where do this money go? So I had to do some research, right? So I went to the U.S. budget for the year 2015, which was the most recent documents that I could find. All right. So this is what it said. The average American family spends $13,000 a year on taxes, or should I say pays $13,000 a year on taxes. Now, where does that go? Okay, the first part of it goes to health programs, about 28.7% or so. Health programs, that's cool, I'm all for that, that's good. The second part, 25.4%, goes to the Pentagon and defense programs, drones, intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear silos, right? Whatever, you know. I'm all for defense. America the great, home of the brave, you know, whatever. The next part goes to interest on the national debt. 13.7% of it goes to interest on national debt. It is what it is, right? 8% goes to unemployment and labor programs. It was kind of murky exactly what that meant, but I'm believing it to be work programs and, stuff like that. So yeah, the next 5% goes to veteran benefits, VA hospital, if a soldier is injured in some type of way. And I'm all for that 100%. I got veterans in my family and I will not change that. I think it might be a little more, 4.6% goes to food and agricultural costs. That's basically when, a farmer needs some money. They give it to him, I guess. I hope. I don't know. It was kind of hard to find information as well. So I don't know exactly. If you know more, please reach out and explain that more to me. The next part was real interesting to me because it says 3.6% of my federal tax dollars go toward education programs. Now, I don't know. If it was me personally making decisions, I would give more money to education and less money to the Pentagon. But hey, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just a brother on the block for what it's worth. 2.9% goes on government expenses. What was those government expenses? Hey, I could not find no definite answer. So I'm figuring napkins, paper towels, money, you feel me? I don't really know. I don't want to speculate, but hey, it is what it is. 1.9% goes on housing and community programs. 1.9% on housing and community programs. So all the talk that you hear about Section 8 and community programs taking all your money, remember, it's 1.9%. That's from the original $13,000 that the average family pay. So now it's 1.9% of that. Hey, 1.5% goes to international affairs programs. Now, the closest I could find out for some information about that would be if, hey, Egypt, we want to use this Suez Canal and we don't want to have a problem. And they're like, well, we don't like A, B, and C. So we say, hey, take this and, chill. Okay, I can live with that. 1.6% goes on energy and environmental programs. 1.6% energy and environmental programs. Again, it was hard to find definite answers to any of these. It would say in the budget it goes to this, but it would be hard to track it farther than that. Like I said, I'm not an expert, so, if you know more, let me know more. 1.2% goes to transportation funding. So because I know that most public transportation is paid for by the government, and that's cool. The only issue I would have with that is if my tax money is paying for that, why are all the bus drivers always rude when I get on the bus? I've had to get on the bus more than once. I do it again. But every time I get on the bus, they rude. So I'm paying your salary, I'm paying fare, and you still rude to me? I'm gonna have to call Metro, and get that taken care of. And then a meager 1.1% goes to science funding. So that's it in a nutshell. That's where your federal tax money goes. That's not even talking about the state money. Notice though, if you watch Fox News, they'll let you think that you spent a lot of money on welfare. Now, I don't got no dog in this race. My money goes there whether I want to or not. But nowhere in my notes does it say such and such percent spent on welfare. It does not say that. So whoever's getting those numbers, I don't know where they're getting those numbers from. I know that everything that seemed like a social program had a very small percentage of my tax money attached to it. A very small percentage. So hey, like I said, I'm not an expert. Maybe you are an expert. If you are an expert and you see this, I would love for you to come here with us and educate me because knowledge is key. So let me know if I'm right or if I'm wrong. This is just the facts as I see them. So hey, peace and blessings. Thanks for joining me. And we're going to see you next time.